But you know what else? You know, it hasn't broken down after many years of neglect.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
Five Nights at Freddy's and uh, animatronics.
yes. Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's is now on Amazon Prime. I thought I'd give it a watch. Now, full disclosure, I have never played any of the Five Nights at Freddy's games. I don't know anything about the lore. I went into this movie cold. Um,
Well, you didn't watch the thousands upon thousands of game theory videos so you could know everything about the lore in advance?
no, I did not.
Daniel, what do we pay you for?
I know, shame on me. Yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, so Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie, which came out last year, around Halloween. It was a Blumhouse. I forgot it was actually Blumhouse produced this. It's uh, it's definitely not what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be a little more. It's definitely a dark movie. I'll say that.
Hmm.
But it's also I don't know, just very subdued, which I wasn't expecting.
Hmm.
Um, so I'll kind of go briefly through the plot. So the beginning of the movie starts with this unnamed security guard who's working at Freddy's,
Hmm.
and then of course he gets by the animatronics, um, and then we meet Mike, who's played by PETA from the Hunger Games.
Hmm.
And he's taking care of his little sister, who is, I'm guessing, is on the spectrum.
Hmm.
um, and and of course the parents aren't around anymore, so he has to take care of her. And he's working mall security that takes place in the year 2000.
Hmm.
um, and he's working mall security, and he sees a little boy in the mall who's just by himself and kind of looking around, and he's looking at the kid like, what's going on with that kid? And then he sees a guy come up and get the kid and walk off with him, and he automatically, and this kind of goes back to some past trauma with him, uh he assumes it's something bad. He tackles the guy and into the fountain and beats him up, but in reality it's the kid's dad. So then he gets fired. He's at a headhunter trying to find another job, and the career counselor is played by Matthew Lillard, and you immediately get creepy vibes from him. Like there's just something off with him, and looks at Mike's file, and he sees his last name, and he kind of looks at him, and he says, I got a job for you. And basically it's working the security at nights at Freddy's. And at first he doesn't take the job because he can't work nights because of his sister, but he's uh, being threatened by his aunt. His aunt's trying to get custody of his sister, and
Hmm.
his aunt is just a really nasty woman, and so he has to take this job, as the security job at Freddy's, to kind of show that, hey, he's trying to be responsible and look after his sister. And then of course that's when the proverbial excrement hits the fan. Obviously. um
Right. It wouldn't be much of a movie if it was just a series of lonely nights at a of security guard work.
right, yeah. So part of the whole thing too is that he tries to have these dreams about this memory from when his younger brother got kidnapped. And they were in the wood, like he was with his parents and his brother, and they were having a picnic in the woods, and then that's when his brother gets taken, and he's going through that memory again because he's trying to see if he can see the guy who took his brother, like see his face.
Hmm.
And so then as soon as he gets into Freddy's and he starts dreaming,
So is this like dreams or like deep therapy or hypnosis or?
well, he's taking these sleeping pills.
Okay.
Um, so I think it's like some weird like dream stasis thing. Yeah, it's hypnosis thing. I'm not entirely sure.
He's trying to use the same method as Ezekiel from Madam Web to recognize his attacker.
Ah, well, um, but yeah. But then when he gets into Freddy's and he starts dreaming, and then the dreams become more vivid, and he starts seeing these 5 little kids.
Hmm.
And as you could probably figure out, the 5 little kids are all in the Freddy's animatronics.
The robots, yes.
The robots, yeah. And so then he then meets Vanessa, who is a cop, and Freddy's is on her beat, and she knows a lot about Freddy's, more than she's kind of lets on.
Hmm.
And part of that is that she knows that the animatronics are possessed by ghosts of kids. And so then the one night the Mike has to bring his sister into Freddy's because he can't get a babysitter, because the babysitter was actually working with the aunt to get to get dirt on him so that she could get custody of the little sister.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and what they do is she and her brother and a couple other guys break into Freddy's to trash the place, but then they all get whacked, as you might expect. So he takes her into Freddy's, and then that's when she realizes that, oh, this is the animatronics are alive, and they're and so that, yeah, then but not to I'll try not to go too beat by beat with the plot, but yeah, like things kind of take a turn really fast because the animatronics want the sister to live with them forever, like them. And the the old owner of Freddy's was a really bad guy, and the reason that the restaurant closed was because these kids went missing, and then they went missing, and then they died, and they got killed, and then their bodies were put into the animatronics.
Which I think matches the lore of the games. I've only played like a few levels of the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, not much for jump scares, but
yeah, there are quite a few like one of the things that a lot of, especially modern horror movies, do is like a lot of like fake jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
And there were quite a few fake jump scares in this, which gets annoying.
That is very much in the spirit of the games, because like in the game, it's like a resource management thing. Where it's like, yeah, the first night you can only keep the door closed for so long, and you have to strategically close the door when one of the monsters is coming up. Then the next night, they've added another task, and the third night, they've added another task.
Okay,
So it's like basically you're just trying to keep the door shut strategically to keep the robots from coming in and killing you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in this one, the robots are very like, at first they're really friendly, and they just want to have like fun and everything. But then it starts getting sinister when they get into the dreams, and like Mike is like, well, he wants to find out what happens to his brother, and they basically use that against him to try to get the sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of all comes to a head at the end, and on the fifth night, and kind of a happy ending, kind of sort of happy ending, but not really. And then obviously they left it open for a sequel, which is probably highly likely.
Because the young millennials and Zoomers just eat this stuff up.
Yeah. And that's, we were talking about with Marcel, whether we couldn't figure out who the target audience was for it. You definitely know who the target audience for this movie is.
Yeah, like, so a friend of mine, about I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago, it was his niece's birthday, and she was like 16 at the time, I want to say, and
Yeah.
she actually asked to go to Chuck E. Cheese's, and she was so into the lore that she was able to recognize like what era of restaurant they were in.
Oh
Like, oh
wow.
yeah, this is I'm gonna make up this. Oh, this is a B type, which was the ones constructed from da 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 da, and you can tell because of this, that, and the other, and
Hmm. Wow.
it's like people get weird for this game or for this series.
Yeah. It's yeah. For me, I mean, I thought it was okay. I mean, it was you know, it's PG-13, so it's not overly violent, like you would expect in a horror movie like this. Um, but I mean, it's I didn't find it particularly scary. It just
It's
it
more
kept
like
my it
startling at times.
kind of, yeah. I thought the by the way, the twist at the end isn't really a twist. I kind of
Mm.
figured that that was where they were going with it. Um, but I mean, I mean, if you're a fan of the video games, I'm sure you probably love this movie, and if you haven't seen it, you'll like it. For me, it was just kind of, yeah.
This is a thing that I'm watching.
Yeah, it's a thing I'm watching. People are talking about it, and got to see what all the fuss is.
Yep. So it sounds like it's like a soft recommend if you're in the mood for a horror movie.
Yeah, yeah,
If you're already paying for your free shipping, why not?
yeah, exactly.